After Caitlin Clark revealed she was leaving America, the WNBA went completely insane. Now, everyone is freaking out like it's the end of the world, but let's face it, it's too late, and neither Caitlin nor the fans care anymore.
With physical defense she's faced at the professional level and voiced frustration with the league's officiating, recently telling reporters, quote, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me, and opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with." That's what Caitlin Clark's.
She worked incredibly hard to build this team's enormous fan base, drive marketing sales through the roof, and give the league more buzz than it has ever experienced. People comment on every video that they only watched because of CC, which is why the WNBA executives finally realized that their empire was collapsing.
I am upset about. It's like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season.
But in all honesty, Clark shouldn't even think about returning because this league doesn't deserve her. You know why? Take a look at how they handled her in just 2 playoff games. All that work and sweat, and how did they pay her back? Let me explain.
Those guys, they're the racists, when really, y'all are the racists. The people coming up with excuses to hate Caitlin Clark and the new fan base that she brought.
Calling Caitlin Clark the WNBA's golden goose would be an understatement because she was essentially their entire farm. When Clark took the court for her regular season finale against the Washington Mystics, it wasn't just any game on the schedule, it was the season's biggest event. As a result, the WNBA is currently in full panic mode.
Indiana Fever, all right, with Caitlin Clark, led the league in attendance both home and on the road. Fever averaged 17,000.
That night, more than 2,711 spectators filled the stadium, setting an all-time attendance record for a single WNBA game. No one, especially a rookie, had ever drawn such large audiences before. In fact, she was drawing more than 15,000 spectators per game during her rookie season.
The most dominant team in the league. They can't draw 500,000 viewers for a playoff game. Atlanta Dreamers and the New York Liberals. Again, the Liberals. They supposedly have stars. Remember when ESPN claimed that the Liberals had the new Big Three? Dreamers, Liberals, 410,000 viewers. The other game was the Phoenix Masculines and the Minnesota Lynx.
But this is where things get really crazy. It wasn't just the fans going crazy. Her jersey sales were like a crazy Black Friday sale. We're talking about the league's best-selling players, rookies, veterans, and it didn't matter. The moment Clark put on that Fever jersey, it was like instant gold. Every fan wanted a piece of history, and suddenly the WNBA wasn't just some niche sport tucked away in the corner of the sports world.
But if you're not delivering the product, and you're not making the revenue, and you're not, giving people the entertainment that they want, then you're not going to make any money, and your league is going to suck.
People who didn't even know what the WNBA stood for were suddenly glued to their TVs. Tickets were selling out, and every sports show had to talk about her. Clark was like a one-woman economic boom. Sponsors were lining up around the block. Broadcasters were fighting over who got to air her games in prime time, and even the league's dustiest merchandise was flying off the shelves like it was going out of stock. Now that she's leaving, the WNBA is essentially facing a free fall, which makes sense. They're left scrambling to pick up the pieces, and the fallout is going to be brutal. The numbers don't lie. She was the driving force behind enormous ticket sales and revenue spikes from day one. Everyone had an opinion about Caitlin Clark, but things concealed an all-time low during those 2 playoff games that went too far. Clark wasn't just playing opponents. She was being hammered by blatant fouls, trash talk, and downright dirty plays that no other player would have to put up with.
She's just not built for the physicality of this league. And she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality.
Alyssa Thomas, who essentially threw gasoline on the fire after the Indiana Fever's thrilling loss to the Connecticut Sun on September 19th, 2024, went straight for the jugular in her post-game interview. If you think it was just a few small arguments, think again. These attacks were coming from some of the league's loudest voices. This wasn't your typical on-court drama. It was a full-fledged campaign to tear her down. It got ugly quickly.
On the wrong team, she's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. and she's a rookie.
Yes, she actually said that, and it caused a great deal of controversy. Thomas didn't hold back when he called the Clark hoopla nothing more than the product of her being, as I put it, a white face in a sport that has historically been predicated on Black excellence.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it.
But if you thought it ended with trash talk, you would be mistaken. A game later, in the first round of the playoffs against the Connecticut Sun, things took a dark turn. Clark was on fire, lighting up the scoreboard with 26 points by the third quarter, when Day Carrington decided to take matters into her own hands. Carrington, who had been breathing down Clark's neck the entire game, made her move during a fast break in the fourth quarter.
And this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark. No foul call. No refs stopping the game to go look. Is this a flagrant? None of that. Just everybody moved on.
She didn't go for the ball. Instead, she went for Clark's face, jabbing her finger right into his eye. This wasn't a lighthearted poke. Rather, it was a vicious jab that left Clark momentarily blind in one eye. The referees might as well have been statues. There was no foul, no whistle, nothing. Clark staggered off, rubbing her eye and trying to shake it off. But did she sit out? No. She came right back because that's what she does.
Your biggest star, your meal ticket, the reason why you have relevancy, just got stabbed and assaulted and nothing.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse in Game 2 on September 23rd, 2024, along came Candace Carter developed into a full-scale assault. Carter, who has a reputation for being a little overly aggressive, wasn't merely playing defense. She was out to break Clark, and she wasn't trying to be subtle about it. She smashed an elbow so forcefully into Clark's ribs halfway through the second quarter that she doubled over and gasped for air.
What I am upset about is like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season.
Later in the fourth quarter, Carter practically body slammed Clark to the ground. It looked more like a linebacker tackle than a basketball play, and guess what? No foul, no call. Just Clark picking herself up off the court with frustration all over her face. It was as if Carter had been given a get-out-of-jail-free card for the duration of the game. Fans saw it, commentators saw it, everyone saw it, but apparently the refs just acted like it was a normal.
It's an attack on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her fans are so racist. Where have I heard this argument before? Oh, Donald Trump may be fine, but all the MAGA people, they're terrible. They're the deplorable.
And while all of this was happening on the court, Clark was being ridiculed by those who ought to have been discussing her historic rookie season. The loudest of them all was none other than Sheryl Swoopes, who didn't hold back when discussing Clark's skill or her record-breaking year, just one day after the Fever were eliminated from the playoffs.
14,000 followers. And it's really easy to ignore, and most people don't know who she is in the sports world. The only reason why people even know who she is because of Caitlin Clark. And she still only got 14,000 followers on Twitter. She doesn't have much of a brand.
No. She chose to ignore all of Clark's accomplishments in favor of calling him the blonde, blue-eyed American that fans allegedly favored. Even though Clark was outscoring and outplaying practically every veteran in the league, Swoopes made it all about race and image, twisting Clark's success into some stereotype that had nothing to do with her game. SWO essentially implied that the only reason Clark was receiving all this attention was because of her appearance rather than her talent, because it's Caitlin Clark and she can't do that game. The hits weren't just physical. They were meant to undermine everything Clark had built and give the impression that she wasn't earning her spot in the league. They were also meant to take away any respect or legitimacy she had gained, giving the impression that her ascent was the result of bias or partiality.
Simply saying, the issue is about marketing versus basketball. The merits of playing basketball compared to the merits of bringing marketing into the equation to influence potential decisions.
What would you do if you were in Caitlin Clark's position? Let's face it, her decision to leave the WNBA and go to music Europe completely destroyed the league when she made the shocking announcement on September 26, 2024, just 2 days after the Indiana Fever playoff meltdown. It was like the entire basketball world hit pause. Clark didn't hide her motivations either. She stated unequivocally that she needed a vacation from the "can you blame the constant mental strain she endured during her rookie season for being singled out on the court, beaten off it, and receiving no protection from the league?" It wore her down, but it wasn't just the beatings she received from opponents. The WNBA's complete lack of support made Clark feel abandoned as well.
There were regular season games this season where Caitlin Clark drew more than 1.8 million viewers. However, I hope Kat Engelbert is ready for disappointment because there's a hell of a lot more of it on the way.
And let's not fool ourselves. Her timing was terrible for the WNBA. As I've already mentioned, the league was finally experiencing a spike in viewership, ticket sales, and revenue. To illustrate how enormous she was, Clark alone attracted over 500,000 fans during her rookie season. Yes, 500,000 people came just to see her, something the league had never seen before.
Let's put this in its proper perspective. When I think about Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude.
Even though it's even bleaker, without Clark, those sellout games will look like high school scrimmages. Those sky-high secondary market prices are about to plummet. The sponsors who are finally showing interest are probably already packing their bags, and local businesses that were seeing a boost from the game day crowds will feel the hit Gainbridge Fieldhouse, which was electric every time Clark hit the floor, will immediately return to being a ghost town.